All right, here we are. We got most of the cards sitting in front of us here, and we're going to jump right in here in a few moments and build our decks. I'd like you to know that when we built these decks, we did build them separately. We did not build them in front of each other at the same time. So he did not know what I built, and I didn't know what he built until we play.
Just a little element of surprise being added on.
Which simulates a pre-release. You don't know what the other person's building until you play them. So we'll just jump right on in there and get on to rolling.
Alright, hello everyone. This is Logan's point of view for the deck building for the Bloomburrow pre-release. So, I'm going to go over my choices for cards and how I build my decks for this. Starting off, we're going to be looking at this card here, which is the Storm Catch Mentor. It makes instant sorceries cost less, it is haste, it's prowess. It looks like a lot of fun. It is a 1/1, but that should be fine. So we're going to focus mostly on blue and red, it looks like. But we're also going to go take a peek at some of the other colors. We'll start with black. Those are all the black creatures. I mean, there's not too much, and we're removing the black instant sorceries there just because there's only 3 of them, and it's not really worth it. So we're just going to set those off to the side. If they're off the screen, great. If not, oh well, I apologize. Next, let's look at the green here. We're going to look through them and see if there's any that really stick out. Looking at the instant sorceries here, there's only 4, so not a whole lot. So let's go ahead and set those off to the side along with the creatures, because since this is instant sorceries, we're wanting to focus mostly on that to go for a card. This here doesn't fit with their color scheme, so moving that off to the side too. We'll just keep those over there. Let's see. These are the multicolored ones. We're going to put this off to the side for a maybe. It could have some use. We'll have to think, just going through, looking, seeing what there is, seeing if there's anything with prowess, seeing how I feel about them, basically. Looking at some of the white cards here, there's 4 instant sorceries and an enchantment. Not a whole lot of support, so probably not going to go white. I'm not seeing a whole lot here that I'm really liking, especially when we look at the Storm Catch Mentor and how that goes. So let's go ahead and completely remove white, and we'll set that off to the side. Yep, and that also gets rid of our nice little shiny card too. Alright. This one is green or white, so that should be removing that for us too, unfortunately. Alright. All these are still in play due to color scheme, so we'll set those to the side. Gonna set this over here, just get a little bit more space, and since that's kind of the focus. This card here, the Tempest Angler. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Really great. We're all about the instant sorcery, so adding that to the pile. This, it has blue in it, so we can take it. When you cast it, draw a card. Lovely. Alright, looking at this Cindering Cutthroat here. Interest of +1/+1 counter on if an opponent lost life this turn. Could be useful, and it's just lost life this turn. So looking at this here, this has flying, it is a 3/3. It does match color scheme due to multicolored, but it doesn't really have any support for the instant sorceries that we're going for, so we're going to put that away for now. We'll come back. All the blue will most likely go in just because we need to fill out. Let's see what we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 instant sorceries. So we'll be keeping a lot of these. All of them have some good effects. We'll be taking all of the blue instant sorceries here. So let me stack these up and just set them over here. And then same with creatures, let's lay them out, see what we have. Alright, looking at the blue creatures, we're going to take this Eddie Mark Crab just because it makes instant sorceries cost 1 less. Now let's look at this here. This is the Light Spell Duo. It has Prowess. Enters, we surveil 2, so a little bit of card bonuses, so really good for us. Looking at the last 3 of these, kind of low on creatures. Offspring loves tokens, so let's add that to the pile. Alright, with these two here, I'm not seeing too much synergy with what we're looking to do today, unfortunately, so we will most likely be moving these off to the side. They don't really have a bonus. We do need some creatures, but they don't really help the deck. Alright, moving on to red. Let's see what we have here. Grab these. Instant sorceries we'll look at first. Most likely, most of these will be added to our deck just due to the fact that we need cards. Going through, let's see what we have. Starting with a Might of the Meek here in the middle. Really good, 1-drop. Target creature gains trample until end of turn. It gets +1/+0 if you control a mouse and I draw a card. Lovely. Adding that to the keep pile. Looking around, we'll be adding this Rabid Gnaw too. Nice little bonus stuff. And then going through some kill spells, always needed. Always, removal is very helpful in the game, especially if you can get a little bit advantageous side set up for you. Alright, these last 2 here could be useful. Hoarder's Overflow, just for some card draw and stuff. Looking at it, we're going to be casting a lot of stuff, so it could be very useful for us. We'll just have to see and how our deck feels. But just to be safe, let's go ahead and add this in. That leaves us with the Brew here. Not very useful, not seeing too much advantages. Let's set that to the side and let's grab these creatures. The boar here is a nice, strong, beefy creature, but we're wanting to go fast and spell slinky, so set that to just off to the side for now. Looking at this, not seeing too much that it does for me, so let's go ahead and set off to the side. I know we're not have too many red creatures here, but we'll just have to see what it looks like. For this recruiter here, I do have some of the creature types that's mentioned on the card. I can steal a creature. Stealing creatures sounds fun, so let's add that to a pile for now. And then, looking through here, let's see what we have. These are our duos. Tap, do a point of damage. Yes, we're going to love these. These are going to be very fun. A little pingy, but extra damage helps. Alright. So looking at the sharpshooter here, reach, minutes, can be very useful. We need some creatures, so let's go ahead and add this. Alright. Let's look at these two a little bit. Looking at this one here, it does have Prowess, and Prowess, whenever it has an instant sorcery, gets bonuses, so let's go ahead and add that to the deck. That fits the theme very well. This one here is a buffer. It buffs our creatures based off its power. Seeing how we're a little low on creatures, yeah, let's go ahead and add it. Alright, for these two, we're just going to set them to the side for now. We'll see how our deck is. Let's take a look at the land here. This is basically a plains for us, so we don't even need to bother looking at it. So, looking what we have left. Fable Passage is nice, search for a land. Always helps with multicolored decks, so let's go ahead and add that. This one here, filters, so not really needed too much, I feel like. So this can help filter mana, but you gotta pay 1 into it. Looking at what we have so far, I don't really think it's needed. So let's go ahead and set this off to the side. Alright, let's look at some of the artifacts that we have. That's a black one, so we don't even need that here due to it not fitting the color scheme. Alright, our remaining ones also filter. It's only once per turn, so don't really need it. Looking at this here, it it doesn't really do anything for us for instance sorcery wise, so let's go ahead and move it off to the side. This one, good for some card draw, a little bit of expensive on 4 mana for this size of deck, but let's go ahead and add it to the pile just for a little extra card advantage. Going back to these here, this can be useful, don't really know. We do need some creatures. The Cutthroat does look to be somewhat decent, so let's go ahead and add that. And for this one, looking at this Veteran Guard mouse here, you have to target it. We don't really have a lot of stuff that does targeting, unfortunately. We do have a few buffs and stuff, but not enough to warrant adding this, in my opinion. So let's go ahead and set these off to the side too. Coming back to the brew, still another little tough call. I think we will go ahead and add it just because we're a little bit low on cards and we need some fillers. Looking at the last few cards we have over here, they don't seem... Having some creatures would be useful, yes, but, wanting to go more spell slinger, so we are going to be a little low on creatures that could come out to bite me, but only one way to know. Toss up, you could do it, you could not do it, just depends on what you want. I'm not going to do it, and we'll see how well that works out. Alright, here is my deck. Focusing mostly on the red and blue with a few of the multicolors that's either or to splash a little other colors, but won't really be going too much into them. Overall, I like how this looks.
Alright, here we are. I'm Pranger and I'm building my deck off of cards. Now I've went through and I've pulled out the land, I've pulled out the tokens, and what we have is basically the cards. So, how I'm going to build my deck off of this. As we were going through, one of the first things that I noticed was there was a lot of white creatures. More specifically, a lot of white creatures that team with our special card up there. So I'm kind of leaning that direction right off the bat. But I did go through, I've looked at the creatures on the other pieces. I'm still leaning white. I'm still leaning towards the white. So I did decide I'm going to start with him, and he's going to be what I'm going to build around. 2 reasons. He buffs. I love anthems. All my creatures that I choose, if they're one of these 4, are going to be buffed by 1. More importantly for me, though, is the scry capability. Scry is going to help me filter through my deck and move things on. So if I need something, hopefully I can get to it just a little bit quicker. So I'm going to be focusing on rabbits, bats, birds, and mice, simply because of him. He'll be the main thing. So looking at that, green and blue, frogs, squirrels. Not too many rabbits, birds, bats, and mice in these 2 categories. There's a few, but not enough for me to build off of. So my first elimination, I'm not even going to look at blue and green at this point. They're out because I'm building around him. So we'll go ahead and we'll take these guys out of the mix. On top of that, if there's anything in here that is strictly blue-green, it goes away too. So we got blue there, blue-green there, and the other 4, the other ones are still in play at this point. I'll get to those in a few moments. What it also eliminates is both of these cards. That's a black-white, I'm not using black. That's a blue-red, I'm not using blue. So I won't get to take advantage. I am tempted to go black-white, but looking them over and looking how things, there's not enough support for black in comparison to the support for red. So my next thing was, I look at white is my main color. All these wonderful little creatures get buffed, bring me in a scry. There's some buffs in here, there's some buffs in here, but here's where I fall down. There's not enough support in black. I got 3 extra spells in black and that's it. Here I've got a whole bunch. So I started looking at the individual spells here. I do like targeted removal. There's a couple of targeted removals here, but there's a lot more targeted removal, 2, 3, 4, 6 points of damage spread out through here. So while I'm losing specific destroys and replacing it with high levels of damage. So I'll be eliminating black at this point. I know some people, why don't you splash black to get your thing? I don't like to splash 3 colors in a 40 card deck. It just is hard to pull off. So out goes the black cards too. So we're down to red and white. So we're going to scoot the reds and the whites in here a little bit. Will we make some changes on that? Yes, we will. So go ahead and do, whoops, do that. What about artifacts? Let's pull the artifacts in real quick. I looked over the artifacts. Obviously that artifact's gone, it's black. Not too bad. Now I've got these 3 artifacts. We got a card draw artifact, and it works off of creatures to lower the cost. That's staying in. My other 2, we've got put something on the bottom of the deck, and we got something that allows me to filter mana. I got 2 colors. I could use the filtered mana, but I think I've got enough other creatures that I don't need that. It's only a 2/1, so I'll probably not be using that one unless I absolutely decide to at the very end. It'll be like, oh yeah, and I'll throw it at the last moment. So it might be one of those ones I keep on the side between matches or something. If I play my first match and I not do so well, I get run to filtering problems, that's where I'm going to bring back in this card. The Changeling here, it's 2/3, puts a card on the bottom of the library. It's a way of getting things back, but then everything was on the bottom and I don't have any real card draw that allows me to search. So it's not a whole bunch of usefulness on that. What about lands? Let's look at the lands we've got. So these are the 2 cards that I know are going to be in there so far. Lands. Well, obviously, this land goes wonderfully well in the deck. Not only does it tap for white, for creatures, it allows me to do a whole bunch of deep dive if I need to. It gives me mana. Fabled Passage. I'm on the fence on Fabled Passage. It allows me to search for a specific color and put it onto the battlefield, because I'll be using red and whites. It doesn't let me get that though. That's the problem. So I'm going to kind of put it to the side right now and decide later. The Grotto, we got a Surveil, and then we've got a Filter. On a lot of my decks, I don't use filter lands at this level because it's just not that. But now, if I had 3 colors, 4 colors, or 5 colors, this would be an automatic include because I would probably need that filter. But for 2 colors, I don't find the filtering as useful at this level. Is it useful? Yes. Some people are going to argue it's really useful. I may come back, it may be another one that goes, oh, after you've lost the first match, yeah, I may need to filter it out some. So let's scoot the reds off to the side, because really the primary color in this is going to be white. And if we start looking at the white cards, we got a rabbit, we got a rabbit, we got a bat, we got a rabbit, we got a rabbit. You see a pattern for me? And rabbits, 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 bird, and rabbit. He buffs every creature in there. So nothing comes out of the white that I lose. What do I get? I can get another one, plus when you attack trigger, I can create more rabbits. Double strike, vigilance, flying, evasion. On this one, we've got destroy artifact or enchantment. So I can, there's some of my artifact and enchantment destruction. Not a lot of it, but it's there. You got a buff here, draw a card. A buff and a draw a card. Another buff, I do like buffs. You control a token, he gets buffed, you control a token. I got a few ways to make a couple of tokens, so that won't hurt. Offspring, so I can make another rabbit. Target creature gets +1, it's a temporary buff. Another flying vigilance, another evasion with a buff. Creatures I control, more buff. So you see a lot of those buff. So I may only end up having 1 or 2 creatures attacking, but hopefully the buffs will get me through. And then we look at the support that I have. Here's my evasion. I can enchant a creature and give it flying. Very useful. Already got a couple flyers. I make some of my other ones be flyers. Board wipe. Never hurts to have a board wipe. Buff indestructible. And take out something. Take out a non-land permanent. So I've got multiple ways now, something in a creature and something in a non-creature, to take out one of my opponent's non-permanent or non-land permanents that are giving me trouble. This can take out creature, this can take out an artifact, it can take out an enchantment. The one in here was out artifact or enchantment. So, all right, now we're looking at the red ones. We'll look at creatures first. And I'm going to eliminate anything that doesn't get buffed by him unless he gives me something really great. It has to be really great for me to keep it in there. Because remember, we're going to try to stay around 40 cards. That's the minimum for a pre-release deck. But also you want to make sure that you stay around 40 so you can get those draws in. First one up, Lizard Otter. It's not one in there. What do we get? Deals 1 damage to target opponent. When you cast another non-creature spell, untap it. It's not that bad. We'll put him down here for now. We got 2 of them. So we'll keep those right there. Having direct damage to the opponent that I don't have to worry about. If we get into a stalemate situation with the support in there, I could do a couple of points of damage if I need to. Lizard Archer, Menace Reach. The Menace is useful. The Reach is very useful to stop flyers. I think, though, that I'm going to move that one on out to the side. Mouse Warrior, hey, that's Mouse. So it's going to be buffed by our guy. He stays in. Mouse Soldier, again, stays in, but here's the big one. As being in combat on your turn, target creature you control gets +X +0 until the turn where X is this guy's power. Hey, another buff, a buff in red, and it affects any of my creatures that I have out there, including himself. Mouse Citizen, card draw on top of that, but he's a mouse. Elemental Boar, we're talking about a 5-drop for a 5/5 that has reach, trample, haste, and it's not buffed by anything I've got other than this guy, so yeah, that's awful expensive. And then we've got the Reptilian Recruiter, also another 5-drop, trample. Only works if I got another lizard for its ability, well, small creature 2 or less, or if I got another lizard. I'm not going to have any other lizards in here really, so we're moving him off to the side. Now, moving back to this guy, I'm going to set them off to the side still. Let's see where we're at on cards. So we're taking all of our cards, put them together, 14 white and 10 red. So we're a little heavier in white, which I expected when I had this guy up there. And an artifact which takes any color. So 24, 25, here are 2 of my lands, and the rest will be filled in with mountains and or plains. I didn't get any dual colors. We have multicolored creatures that I got moved off to the side that we need to go back and look at. So going back in, they got shifted off to the side there. Here they are. Okay, so I moved out the blue and green ones already. So in this deck, any of these could be cast. So once again, how useful are they? Are they worth pulling in? So let's see with the blue-red one first. Otter Wizard does not get any of the buffs. Probably not going in. When you cast your non-creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Useful. I've got some non-creature spells in there, about 10 of those. I could make an argument to keep that in there, but I've got enough other creatures I think that will be fine. If he had an invasion on him, he might actually make the cut. He doesn't have an evasion. This guy does have the evasion. He can be given Menace. He can come in with a +1/+1 counter, which will make him a 4/3. I think I've got enough others that I will not worry too much about him because he doesn't get my main buffs. He doesn't get my main buffs off this guy, which is a lizard assassin. And so this will give me that scry. Don't forget that scry, how important that is. So we're down to these 3. Red, white, mouse, valiant, target spell, gets +1/+0, first strike, scry. I mean, there's so much on this card, I can't see a reason not to put him in there. Yes, he's small to start off with. He's, well, 3/4, so he's not that small. And he's a 4-drop. But he's got the red-white split. Now, these other 2 here, The red's not going to help me cast it except for the colorless area, but the white will. Let's talk about the one on the right, the blue-white flyer. So it's got evasion that I like. He attacks target creature you control without flying, gets +1/+1. Well, I got lots of creatures in here without flying, so hey, he's a flyer himself. He's got his evasion away, and he gets to buff another creature. And he's relatively cheap to cast. Nope, not really. 3 and a white for a 3/3 flyer. Not as cheap as I thought there for a second. Last one, maybe a little hard to read because of the foiling on it. 3 and then 2 white, so it's 2 white pips. When he enters the battlefield, I get 2 more white rabbits. So for a mana of 5 mana, I get 3/2 plus 2 1/1s that are rabbits. And this guy buffs rabbits, so they actually become 2/2s. Very useful when one or other rabbits, so when he comes in, I still only get to scry once. Okay, I can live with that. So yeah, I'll be using both of those. So that brings us up. That's going to put us a little over 40 cards when I add in my land. I can live with that. If I needed to trim something, I would probably go through here and trim out some of the stuff and see what we can do. Now, I went through it quickly and didn't talk too much about the support mechanism other than we got a lot of targeted removal here. So let's look at these red ones real quick. And target creature you control gets +1/+0 until the turn, and then deals damage. So we got add a buff and a fight. Helps me take out a creature. So there's a targeted removal. If I gift something, card draw. Here we got different molds. I can deal 4 damage to a target creature. If it dies, it gets exiled. Otherwise, or I could destroy an artifact. So here's some removal for either an artifact or possibly a creature. Take out the trash. You heard me that one already. Deals 3 damage to a creature or planeswalker. So here we go. If I control a raccoon, you discard. I don't believe I have any raccoons in here, so I'll lose out on that one, unfortunately. Target creature has trample. Discard or draw a card. So little cantrip that replaces itself and gives me some evasion by going over the top. 6 damage, 2 damage to another creature. So multiple card draws. A little expensive at 5. I could get rid of possibly 2 creatures. Creatures, make in there. I picked up all the reds at one time, so there's 3 creatures. Oops, sorry about that. The last one is the 1 red card I think I'm going to cut out of here. It's an enchantment, so it's going to stay on the board. You put a stash counter on it. When you expend 4, and then you can sacrifice it and discard your hand and draw cards equal to the number of stash counters on it. Come to think of it, I look at that, it says discard your hand. You don't have to have anything in your hand to discard. So you could conceivably use this as a card draw. So I think I actually will leave it in there because of that. Because I could conceivably get nothing else, a card draw off of it in an emergency situation. Not a lot of card draw, because I don't see myself expending 4 too many times during the turn. And there's my deck. That's what I'll be playing against Logan.